4.3.3 explain the essential features of a computer language. Well, let's take a look at each one of these and see what they mean by each of them. And we might as well just use whatever we're working on right here, which is a kind of mumbo-jumbo program, but fixed vocabulary. By fixed vocabulary, we mean there is a set group of words which are to be used in this language. You cannot use mumbo-jumbo to use that word again. There are something like 30, if I'm not mistaken, absolutely fundamental Java words, or it might be 50, but it's in the tens. So static is one, void is another, public, the ones that come up blue in NetBeans. So there aren't that many, right? That's the fixed vocabulary. There are others that are kind of semi-fixed, like system is a class, so you have to spell it the way that it is. Out is an object of the system class, and so it must be spelled that way as well. But yeah, and I guess that goes with fixed. But the point is, it's like most languages, although with English you can get away with vocabulary which is a little bit, I'm trying to make up a word in my mind right now, a little bit fudgicled. So I said if something is a little bit fudgicled, right, that's not a fixed word, right, but you've used the word fudged perhaps before, so if I said fudgicle because it's summer, that's what I used to have when I was sitting out here when I was a little kid, you'd probably get it. So I can mess with it a little bit. You cannot mess with the vocabulary of a programming language because the computer's not made to interpret messiness. It's made to interpret specific things. Unambiguous meaning. There is only one meaning to each and every statement. It cannot be interpreted more than one way. So here we have a conditional statement. It is evaluating if those two are equal and these two things are equal. Of course, this is an expression itself, and so it knows what to do with this. 1 plus 2, when you have an integer on either side of the plus sign, it will do a specific thing. You might as well just move this a little bit further and say, well, blah, blah, blah. Well, we'll say I is. We've got this variable up here. We're going to put a plus the I. In this case, the unambiguous meaning, the meaning that cannot be interpreted anyway but the way that is intended, is to add together these two not as integers but as strings, because this is a string. And whenever there's a string and some other data type, they both get converted to the bigger data type, which is string. Unambiguous every single time, right? Every single time you have two numbers between a plus sign, addition occurs. So and the only other thing that we have in this simple program is making this new file writer object, which is a little bit complicated line, but it can only accomplish one thing, which, if you know, you know, if you don't, I'll tell you right now, is to make a new memory location which will accommodate a file writer object, which will write a file called sdsdfsf.txt. That's what it does each and every time. Unambiguous means can only be interpreted one way. Consistent grammar and syntax. What do they mean by that? Consistent grammar. Well, if you have a fixed vocabulary, you have a fixed way of adding the vocabulary together. So if I want to add two numbers, I do what I've done there. I would not go 2 plus 3 equals int I. The grammar, in other words, the word order, is consistent and fixed. It's always the same way and a specific way. And so when you write, you must write with consistent grammar. And the syntax. Well, syntax is spelling. I can't go int I, well, k is assigned. Can't do that because the vocabulary says that int is for integer, but it's a small I. So the syntax is also consistent. So if you look anywhere in a Java program and an integer is declared, the syntax, in other words the spelling, will be the same, and the order in which the words appear will also be the same, consistent from program to program. A little bit of overlap between these terms, but I think if you understand what the English words here mean, you can understand it in terms of what goes into your code. And those are what are the essential features of a computer language, so that the very dumb computer knows exactly what it's reading and exactly what you intend it to do.